They say our reputation needs a new coat of paint and a delicate melody. But I say I like the bruises, 'cause a melody don't mean a thing if we don't have the strength to sing. And I won't be made to ever feel ashamed that I'm American made.
The Talk Alternative is the 405media.com from Los Angeles, California. It is Tuesday evening, and you know what that means. Time once again for the Tami Jackson Show. Tami Jackson is the emerging threat from the West Coast. She is Tami J on Twitter, and she is also the bossy boss of rightvoicemedia.com. Good evening, and once again, welcome, Tami Jackson.
Thanks, John. And I'm also, the new thing we have to add to that lineup is I'm the co-host of the Hump Day News Report with
right.
Jeff Dunnett.
Exactly.
On Wednesday evenings.
Same time Wednesday night.
Yep.
Just a little bit different format.
Yeah, a little different, but fun.
Yep. We just decided we were going to move the cheese a little bit, and here we are. Anyway, Nick Adams is here. He is an internationally renowned Australian speaker, lecturer, author, and media commentator, and honorary Texan. He's best known for his work in the field of American exceptionalism. Nick Adams has authored 2 books, America, the Greatest Good, and Exceptional America, a message of hope from a modern-day de Tocqueville. Both books can be found in the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C., and now Nick has a new book coming out. Wait for it, July 1st, The American Boomerang. How the world's greatest turnaround nation will do it again. Welcome back to the Tami Jackson Show, Nick Adams.
Great to be here.
Nick, it is so great to have you on the show tonight. Do you know it's been 11 months exactly since you were last a guest on my show?
Tami, that is an absolute tragedy. A travesty. We can never allow that to happen again. I want to be on your show every month. No, seriously, Tami, it's great to be back with you. Great to be back with such a patriotic warrior for liberty.
Oh, thanks, Nick. I know we have so much in common. We're indeed kindred spirits. And for those who did not hear the show last year, and they might be wondering, because you're only, what, are you 30 years old, Nick?
Not quite.
Not quite.
30th September. Don't age me, Tami, on radio, please.
Well, I'm older, so you're still young, but...
Yeah, but you look younger.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'll take that. But for those who did not hear the show last year, and they might be wondering why such a relatively young man seems to be racing, as it were, to accomplish a whole lot, would you talk briefly about your battle with cancer?
Yeah, sure. When I was 16 months old, Tami, I was diagnosed with neuroblastoma, which is a form of childhood cancer. The tumour was in my abdomen, and the thing about neuroblastoma is it's a very difficult cancer to diagnose. So the vast majority of children that are diagnosed with neuroblastoma are diagnosed in its most advanced stage, in stage 4, when the tumour has metastasised. And that was the stage I was in when I was diagnosed. The cancer had spread throughout my entire body, and like any child diagnosed at that stage, I had a 5% chance of survival. My mum and dad were told that 1 in 20 children only survive. And through the grace of God, I was able to defeat that particular adversary through some chemotherapy, radiotherapy, and an operation. And I'm alive to tell my story, and it's kind of been the thing that's enabled me to go out there and, like you say, race towards achieving things and feeling that nothing can stand in my way because I've taken on the fiercest adversary possible and won. So everything else is going to be easy.
Small potatoes. Well, it does probably give you the outlook that every day is a gift and a blessing to do something with.
It does, Tami. I very much feel like I'm in the bonus round. As you say, every second of every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every year is one that I probably shouldn't have. So I try not to let many of those minutes go by without making the most of them.
Yeah, you redeem the time. And Nick, I tell you, that's good for us to hear, because we should all be living that way. It's unfortunate that sometimes it takes something huge like cancer to affect us and our priorities. Let's talk a little bit, Nick, about your love of America. Why do you love America, and why does an Australian care what happens to America?
Well, Tami, look, it's a very simple equation. What's good for America is good for the world. If America is doing well, the world does well. If America's strong, the world's strong. If America's weak, the world is weak. So really, it doesn't matter where you come from. It's in the interests of everyone and anyone on planet Earth, I think, to take an interest in America and hope and pray and work towards making and keeping America strong. You can see right now where America is not in a strong position.
Yep.
You see lots of the bad guys advancing. You see lots of people losing hope. So that's an indication in itself of how it's so important that America remains the great country that it has always been. Why do I love America? Well, look, Tami, America has been the beacon of hope for mankind since 1776. The American idea is a value system. America was the world's first free country. It's inspired more countries to be free than any other. It's been free the longest. It has protected other free countries. It's spread more freedom to other countries than any other. It's been the greatest model of liberty and the greatest preserver of liberty of the world that we've ever known. I love America because I think its values are values that I, as a person, as an individual, would really like to have. So, I see America as being, if I had to describe America, Tami, I'd say it's confident, competitive, courageous, faithful, idealistic, charitable, optimistic, innovative, and all those things are things that, I would really like to be able to have said about me. America is everything as a nation that I wish to be as a person.
Absolutely. Oh, I relate to all of that. In the preface of the book, I was able to read a little bit that's there because I've got the book ordered. I want to read it, but of course it's not coming out till July 1. But you write, I developed a heart for America early. For as long as I can remember, all I ever wanted to do was visit. In fact, I distinctly remember one cold, late afternoon in January, standing on the Westminster Bridge in London with my parents. I was 15. Our London leg was the final stop in an extensive multi-country, multi-city European tour. It had taken us from the mountains of southern Germany to the breathtaking cities of Venice, Florence, Rome, to majestic Paris, and to the lakes of Switzerland. I had seen everything from the Leaning Tower of Pisa to the Eiffel Tower to Buckingham Palace. As we stood on the bridge overlooking the magnificent Palace of Westminster, home of the Houses of British Parliament, my father asked me if I enjoyed the trip. I said, yes, but I really want to go to America. I will never forget my father's crestfallen face, how ungrateful I was, but I couldn't help it. That's good stuff, Nick Adams.
Well, it's true, Tami. Every word of it is true. I remember it like yesterday. My mum and dad had saved up lots of money, and we'd gone to Europe, and they'd showed me everything. And
what a gift!
Yes, it was a gift. But at the end of it, I was, I just wanted to go to America. I mean, it was just almost impossible to describe. I've just always been drawn to it. I don't know whether it was, I'm sure that a lot of it had to do, I was a big reader when I was younger, Tami, and, particularly when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, there were lots of, in Australia, lots of American series that were very popular. Whether we're talking about Goosebumps or The Babysitter's Club or, Hollywood movies like that. So I think all of that had kind of combined to really, feed into this great fascination with America, with its culture, its people, the food, just the way people conducted their business, the big highways, the colour, the excitement, the buoyancy, and so while it was great to go and see beautiful buildings and incredible history and experience, so many different cultures over there, for me, I just really wanted to sit down with some chicken fried steak and some big burgers and have a great time in America. Go to Disneyland.
I understand that. Also in the intro of the book, you write, and there's another question I get, what makes America exceptional? I'll tell you, American exceptionalism is simple. It's individualism, not collectivism, patriotism, not relativism, optimism, not pessimism, limited government, not nanny state, God, not government, faith, not secularism, life, not death, equality of opportunity, not equality of outcome. And America is special in that it is not just a country, geographical entity, or collection of 50 states. It's an idea. This is why in 5,000 years of recorded human history, we have never seen another country like America. It is also why it is indispensable to the world. More good stuff, Nick. One question I do have, which you mentioned, but I know that you believe strongly in the Second Amendment, as do I. Why do you believe that the Second Amendment is a centerpiece of American exceptionalism?
Well, it's a great question, Tami. It's a great question, and can I say that your listeners that do end up going and getting the book, and you'll see this when your book arrives, there's actually an entire chapter dedicated to the Second Amendment in the book. So absolutely, that's something I do feel very, very passionate about. Look, without the Second Amendment, Tami, there are no other amendments. It's really as simple as that. Nothing to me is more emblematic of the exceptionalism of America than the Second Amendment. It defines what America is about. It speaks to the character of America and to the mentality and philosophy of the American. I think it reflects why America came into being and the success of its human experiment. You see, Tami, civilian disarmament is based on the assumption that people are irresponsible, unless, of course, they work for the government. America was founded on precisely the opposite premise. And, I just don't understand the logic of it all. If we don't give up cars because some people use them to drive drunk, why would we give up our guns because others use them to commit crimes?
Yep, it makes no sense whatsoever. And I always tell everybody to not get into the minutia of the caliber of gun, of the type of firearm, of how big the magazine, but understand that at the basic level, the Second Amendment was our safeguard against governmental tyranny. And they knew, having come from the tyranny of King George, that they wanted to be here in America, this grand experiment of liberty, and they wanted free men to be armed. So if all else failed, the people could fight back against any possible tyranny in the future. As we're talking about government, another strong, a reason that America has been strong is limited government. Why do you think that's important?
Well, Tami, limited government, there is a very strong moral, very powerful moral case for limited government. You find for every single aspect of American culture that makes it a very different place, the reason behind it is limited government. So, for example, per capita, Americans are 3 times more charitable than Europeans. Now, why is that? Are Americans better people? Not necessarily, but it's because of that limited government. It's because people feel that they have a need to look after their neighbours, look after their fellow man. You know, when it comes to limited government, a society in which some enormous state possesses everything reduces the individual to the status of really, Tami, just a well-fed serf.
Yeah.
Liberty necessitates small government. And, you know, that, like I say, there's a powerful moral case against the welfare state. Small government, along with religion, has been the primary reason Americans give more to charity and volunteer more time per capita than Europeans.
Yes. Nick, I want to circle back quickly. John reminded me of something. We've been talking this last week. There's a really odd group, and as an honorary Texan, you might be aware of this. There's an odd group in Texas, Open Carry Texas, that has been, I would say, flaunting constitutional carry and going into restaurants that don't want open carry guns and so forth. Have you heard about that whole kerfuffle, and any thoughts on it?
Tami, I have not heard about that. No, I'm afraid.
It's kind of it's an odd group. They seem to, you know, you always get somebody that ruffles things up, and they've been pushing themselves forward, and they take their AR-15s, which I love shooting AR-15s, quite frankly, but to take them into restaurants that don't want open carry, it's kind of doing a disservice to our side of you know, supporting the Second Amendment. So I just didn't know if you'd heard about that. You may want to Google it.
Yes. I think, anything that makes people feel uncomfortable, Tami, is probably not the way to go.
Yeah, it's not going to change hearts and minds, that's for sure. I want to ask you a little bit. Ronald Reagan, who I consider one of America's greatest presidents, he believed that America was founded on the twin pillars of faith and freedom, and that both were crucial to our survival as a nation. Why do you believe the Christian faith is at the center of the U.S. exceptionalism?
Well, Tami, you know, America is the one religious, major industrialized country in the world. Americans acknowledge God just about everywhere, in their founding document, the Declaration of Independence, the Pledge of Allegiance, your courtrooms, your national anthem, on your money even. I mean, God truly is everywhere. And that's why I believe until now God has really blessed America enormously. The source, I think, of America's character, as well as its virtues of optimism, freedom, pursuit of evil, I think all of that comes from its robust Christian faith. And it's probably the other reason why America is so misunderstood in the world, because nowhere else in the world does that robust Christian faith exist. But the whole idea of government in America was founded on the Christian concept of the sinful nature of man. The founding fathers were believers in the God of the Bible. One of the basic tenets of America was the ability to be free to worship any religion you like. But America was and remains a Judeo-Christian nation. And the alliterative God gap between America and Europe and their comparative success, I think, tells you just about everything you need to know.
Yes, that's so true. Now, your new book will debut July 1, and I want to let people know on the show post on the website, if they go through the link of the title of the book or the picture of the book, that will land them on the Amazon page so they can order your book. In the preface of the book, on the book jacket, on the back, I believe, there is this referral. The American Boomerang should be compulsory reading for every American. It is a call to action and an outstanding voice reminding us of our promise in the world. It reasserts the American virtues we have recently begun to abandon, like faith and freedom. Adam's insight is invaluable and irresistible. Jared Valeroni, editor, patriotupdate.com, CIO, Liberty Alliance. And he's a good friend of mine. You know, I used to write for one of the properties over there at Liberty Alliance, and I may be writing for them again in the future because I'm a writer and editor that Jared seems to value. But that's a great referral for you.
Yeah, he's not just a great guy. He's also a smart man. If you're going to have you writing for him again and value your writing, no, look, Jared really is the salt of the earth. You want to talk about someone whose family and personal and professional life embodies American exceptionalism, well, you really can't go past Jared Valeroni.
Yeah, and the whole darn family, I tell you. I want to. We're running down in minutes here, so I'm going to go through a few things quickly. You talk about the cowboy spirit, and you and I talked about this last year a little bit, but explain what you mean by the cowboy spirit.
Well, there's something to Americans, Tami, and of course I don't mean every American, but I mean the quintessential American or the American that we might consider a traditional American. There are a lot of character qualities, attributes, call them what you will, that are particular to what we might consider to be a cowboy. So I think traditional Americans are self-reliant. I think that they're fiercely independent. I think that they're suspicious of government. I think they tend to divide the world up into good and evil. I mean, it's a bit like what John Wayne, said, if the world is not black and white, then I say, why the hell not?
Yeah.
So, I think, they're disposed to civic volunteerism, they're philanthropic, they're religious, they're spirited, unafraid, and, of course, inherently good. And, so I do think that the traditional patriotic American does have a cowboy spirit.
I like that. Now let's talk in the waning minutes here a little bit about one very real threat to Americans and free people around the world, which is radical Islam. Now, Nick, why do you say that the Islamic mind is inferior to the American mind?
Well, Tami, radical Islam, I think, is one of the great cancers of the world. And it's one that we have to be so cognizant of and so careful of. And it's really unfortunate that the left around the world runs interference on behalf of radical Islam. And I get that the connection is the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but the only thing that's going to happen is that it's going to result in the entire Western civilization collapsing. This is what I'd say, Tami, in direct answer to your question. All people are equal, but all cultures aren't. While
Yes.
America is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, Sharia, which of course your listeners will know is the moral code and religious law of Islam, is about death, slavery, and the pursuit of power. Now, they are entirely incompatible with America. It's the American dream and the Islamic nightmare, as far as I'm concerned. Islam, when practiced properly, according to the Quran, the Hadith, and the Surah, it's not a religion of peace. From its inception, Islam has gone to war to conquer and convert, and it was always offense, never defense. So I think that there are major, serious moral shortcomings in the Muslim world. Violent punishments for non-violent offences, imposition of Sharia, the treatment of women, not to mention almost a complete lack of liberty. I mean, name me one Quran-based society that is successful.
Yes, Yes, no, I could not agree more with everything you just said about the Islamists, and which would include a number of groups from the Taliban to Al Qaeda to the Muslim Brotherhood, who masquerades as the more polite version of them, but they all believe in Sharia, and it's something we need to be aware of and fight against. I want to encourage everyone to Google the book, go to the links on the webpage, The American Boomerang, How the World's Greatest Turnaround Nation Will Do It Again, and encourage people to get this book. Pre-order it. We want to try and get you up on that New York Times and the Amazon, both bestseller lists. Closing thoughts.
Tami, that would be really great. I just wanted to let your listeners know that the foreword to my book is written by Colonel Alan West.
Yes.
So they'll also get a chance to read some of his thoughts on American exceptionalism. It's a great book. Literally every line kind of breaches a left-wing taboo. So for those that enjoy that type of thing, they should definitely get onto it and have a look. Sometimes, Tami, it takes, or sometimes I think a spectator sees more of the game.
Yes, absolutely. And you might be in Australia, but you love America, and you're watching closely what's happening. So I appreciate your assessments and your works. And I thank you for making the time for me to be on the show.
Tami, it's an absolute pleasure. Let's do it again. And I very much look forward to seeing you in Southern California in a couple of weeks' time, in Disneyland, no less.
Absolutely, in the world's happiest place. We'll see you in Disneyland with all our Hugh Hewitt friends, the Tribbles, and with Hugh Hewitt himself. Until then, you're listening to The Tammy Jackson Show. I'll be back after the break with National Anthem girl Janine Stange.
You're on the 405.
Thank you for shopping Amazon.com. When you do, that makes you a sponsor of the 405 Media. Click on the Amazon banner on top of our homepage. Then shop. Simple. It costs you nothing. When you think Amazon, click one more time on the 405media.com, then on the Amazon banner. Thank you.
We are a bold and active voice for the unborn. We are Audio Girl Ministries, saving the lives of babies by helping moms in crisis pregnancies get past the crisis. How? Free ultrasound imaging so the woman can see the life she's carrying, and by supplying her with essential baby items, diapers, clothes, food, crib, car seat, all given with a loving and caring heart. Want to help? Log on to AudioGirlMinistries.com and make a tax-deductible donation. AudioGirlMinistries.com. Thanks.
Off the Grid.
And he's also the only person I've ever seen that could write, "My dog just rolled over" on Facebook and get like 62 likes.
I'm also, just a correction, I'm the best looking person in social media too.
Off the Grid with Matt Hochman and Beckett Adams.
You have men in the United States Army running for cover and hoping the police show up.
The base is a soft target that's filled with brave Americans, but they got their hands tied.
I'm sure the jihadists completely consider it a soft target. It's like a shopping mall, or like you said, a school. It's probably worse than a shopping mall, because at least here in Arizona, you're allowed to carry.
In several of these shootings, Jared Lautner in Arizona, the Sandy Hook shooting, a number of these shootings always involve somebody who was desperately unhealthy in the head, but for some reason, the argument always turns into, get away from my gun. What can we do to maybe help people like this?
New day, same time. Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Only on the 405media.com.
You're on the 405.
Voces Latinas.
Rubio has a 100% rating from AFP. He has like a 97% rating from Heritage. He votes wildly conservative, more conservative than 98% of senators on 98% of the issues. Why fire Rubio over one issue?
Voces Latinas, live. Only on the 405media.com.
We don't want to fire Rubio over one issue.
We had 40 Hispanics walking around, and all they see, is pink slip Rubio, pink slip Rubio. Pink slip to me is fire.
Voces Latinas, Mondays, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific. Only on the 405media.com.
But is it strategically smart to publicly heckle and call him a traitor? Rubio was lambasted publicly by Limbaugh. Michelle Malkin screams shamnesty like it's her job. I mean, shamnesty. Air your grievances with Rubio all you want, but I can't help it when I work with the Latino youth community trying to make them conservative, bring them to the conservative movement, and they're all like, well, Rubio's the only one that cares about us, and they hate him. They yell shamnesty at him.
You're on the 405.
This is Tami Jackson inviting you to join me on The Tami Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. on the 405media.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberty, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that is not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tami Jackson, on the 405media.com.
The Talk Alternative is the 405media.com from Los Angeles, California. Tami Jackson Show is about halfway through, and we will say good evening to our next guest, and she is Janine Stange, also known as the National Anthem Girl. She made history when she was invited to sing the National Anthem for MetLife Stadium's inaugural event, the Konica Minolta Big City Classic, in April 2010. Born and raised in Long Island, New York, Janine Stange currently resides in Los Angeles, where she founded the nonprofit National Anthem Girl. She performed the Star-Spangled Banner hundreds of times throughout high school, college, and even during her career as a recording artist. Her goal is to sing in all 50 states. With National Anthem Girl originally started in 2012, she was touched by those who give meaning to our nation's song, especially the men and women who serve in our country's military. Janine's goal is to make history by performing the national anthem in all 50 states before September 14th, 2014, which marks the 200th anniversary from the first time Francis Scott Key penned the lyrics for that song. Good evening and welcome to the Tami Jackson Show, Janine Stange.
Thank you. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Janine Stange, thanks for taking the time to join me. Our mutual friend, Jeff Kahn, who is the news sports director for Notaway Broadcasting in Maryville, Missouri, Pickup Country KNIM, and 97.1 The Ville KVVL, made me aware of you, and the rest is history.
Jeff's a great guy.
And he's going to be coming to see you perform tomorrow, is that correct?
Yeah. Well, I sang in Maryville, Missouri, goodness, I don't know, a few weeks back. And I was a guest on the Jim and Jeff in the morning show. And then I sang at an event, and what's awesome is singing in all these different places. Sometimes I'm coming back to a place that's close to where I was before. And I make a lot of friends in all these places. So, yeah, it's great. It'll be great to see familiar faces.
That will be a lot of fun. You'll have to tell them hi for me. And before we get going too much, I want everybody to bookmark your website, nationalanthemgirl.org, and then they can follow you as you travel from state to state singing our national anthem. Mm-hmm. Before we get going too much, let's talk a little bit about the national anthem and the story of the national anthem. I'm imagining that you know that story about the shelling and the attack on Fort McHenry.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let me read a little bit so it encapsulates the story. And I was thinking, Janine, you ought to have this made into a little pamphlet, and you could attach it to a single CD and give it out or sell it when you perform at different places, in addition to something else that you give out to help the troops. But just a little idea.
I like the way you think.
We're definitely kindred spirits, as I like to say. So the story about the national anthem. On a rainy day, September 13, 1814, British warships sent a downpour of shells and rockets onto Fort McHenry in Baltimore Harbor, relentlessly pounding the American fort for 25 hours. The bombardment, known as the Battle of Baltimore, came only weeks after the British had attacked D.C., burning the Capitol, the Treasury, and the President's house. It was another chapter in the War of 1812. A week earlier, Francis Scott Key, a Baltimore lawyer, had boarded the flagship of the British fleet on Chesapeake Bay in hopes of persuading the British to release a friend who had recently been arrested. At the time, as you know, Janine, the U.S. had a number of prisoners. The British had a number of prisoners because this Battle of 1812 was pretty prolonged. Here we are into 1814 and things still going on. Key's tactics were successful, but because his companions had gained knowledge, he and his companions had gained knowledge of the impending attack on Baltimore, the British did not let them go. They allowed the Americans to return to their own vessel, but they continued guarding them. Under their scrutiny, Key watched on September 13 as the barrage of Fort McHenry began 8 miles away and lasted over 25 hours. Key wrote, "It seemed as though Mother Earth had opened and was vomiting shot and shell in a sheet of fire and brimstone. The hours passed slowly, but in the clearing smoke of the dawn's early light, on September 14, 1814, he saw the American flag, not the British Union Jack, flying over the fort, announcing an American victory. Key put his thoughts on paper while still on board the ship, setting his words to the tune of a popular English song. His brother-in-law, commander of the militia at Fort McHenry, read Key's work, had it distributed under the name Defense of Fort McHenry. Within weeks, Key's poem, now called The Star-Spangled Banner, appeared in print across the country, immortalizing the words and forever naming the flag it celebrated. Janine Stange, I think sometimes we forget the price that was paid for our liberty and the price still being paid by our armed forces.
We do. Absolutely.
Yes.
When you read something like that, you really see it's like you said, a sacrifice. I mean, this was real. This wasn't, when they, have fireworks when you're singing the anthem and they just, have a little display. This was life and death. There were people that were missing dads and sons, after this happened, and they did it for freedom.
They did. Now, you've had tremendous response to your singing around the nation, haven't you?
Yes, and it's because it's a great song, I mean, it's our song, and people really are it's bringing to their attention how important the song is, and people even say, "Wow, I got to make sure I know the words." Different things like that. It's really fun, but it's also very humbling, and it really makes you every day. I don't take it for granted that I could sing that song.
Yep. And you've decided to sing the song pretty much straight without a lot of riffs and such. Why is that?
When I was on Fox and Friends, they had played a couple clips from, 5 or 6 years ago when I used to kind of, play around with it, and I didn't realize it. And I said on there, and I'll say it again, I'm the first person to admit, I started to talk to people who, represent this song, who've lived this song, who, have been on the battlefield. And I said, you know what, I need to make sure I stick to the melody. I need to make sure I honor that tradition. And, since then, for the last couple of years, I've been, sticking with it. And I love it. I mean, I think there's power in it. And it's the only song for 90 seconds, no matter what team you want to win, no matter who you voted for, we're as one. And we're one nation. And that's what keeps us going.
It is. And it's pretty wonderful. It's a song that whenever I hear it, wherever I am at a sporting event, and that song is sung, I have my hand on my heart and tears in my eyes, and I want to sing along. Yeah. And so I think you've captured that, and that's what resonates with people wherever you go, Janine.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I am in Kansas City right now, and I got here a day early because I'm singing tomorrow at the Kansas City T-Bones game. So they played there was a horn I don't know what you would call it, but there were, a bunch of people playing the horns for the national anthem, and you do, and it's the first time in a long time I've actually been a spectator when the anthem is usually I'm the one singing it. So it was interesting to look around and just to see how people were responding to it, and the thing too is you could definitely tell the people that it really strikes a chord with because they're really at attention, and like you said, they'll have a tear in their eye. They're singing along. It's all important.
It is, and I have a couple audio clips. I was wondering how much I wanted to play because I wanted to get your take on everything and your answers, and I didn't want to waste any time playing things when I could talk to you. And
send them to the website. Ask away.
I know, we can send them to the website. Also, on my show page, not only do I have links to your website, I posted the video of David Barton from Wall Builders giving the full history of the Star-Spangled Banners, and it's 7 minutes. And if we would have had a whole hour, I would have played it here, but I didn't want to waste that time. And so it's on the website. It's worth people looking at. So they need to go to your website. They also need to listen to the David Barton. But let's listen to a song first. At the end, we'll play the national anthem, which is very short with Janine singing. But this is a song you did, Janine, that really shows a little bit of your voice. It's a beautiful song called As One.
Oh, okay.
I am humbled by your goodness. I am lifted by your grace. I am breathing by your mercy. Got a tight grip on your embrace. Soul to soul, heart to heart, eye to eye, what's yours is mine, faith to faith,
Wow. Janine, you have such a lovely voice. I love that song.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I wanted to play it so people could hear your voice a little bit. Before the end of the time here, we will play the national anthem that you sang a cappella. You sing an a cappella at a number of events, don't you?
All of them, yeah.
All of them.
I never have had accompaniment when I do live.
Yes, except for the one MP3 you did, which was with piano only.
Yes, that I recorded a while ago in the studio, and it was very impromptu. And there was a kid who was like a prodigy, plays amazing piano, and I just said, I'll just start singing and you start playing, and we literally laid it down simultaneously, and it was just it was a powerful moment. You know, it was a really cool thing to do, and I said I have to put this on the album that I was putting out at the time. So
yeah. And it's very beautiful, and I love it with just piano. That was absolutely perfect. Hey, one thing I have to ask you, how are you funding your travels around the nation?
Well, I'm a nonprofit organization. I formed a nonprofit. So I had an Indiegogo campaign that is over now, so I was able to raise some money with that, and I'm still accepting donations. You know, it's not, obviously it's not cheap to fly, drive, you know, put gas in a rental car and all that, but somehow, some way, it's been happening. I'm trucking along. I'm, you know, state 35 now, so you know, it's going to happen. I am determined to hit state 50.
And when I look at your website, which everybody, if you've got the website bookmarked, if you go there, she's got a map of all the states she's already sung in, where she's booked. Now, when I look at it, the only state you're not booked in, and the very last state, is Tennessee. Is that still the case?
That is still the case, but we are working on that as we speak. So I don't expect it to stay in the working on it category very long. So
yeah, and I know a lot of people in Tennessee, so I'm thinking I maybe should shake some trees, get some action.
Everybody tweet Tennessee.
Yes, tweet Tennessee. We need to get Janine Stange there to sing the national anthem. Now, on April 14th, 2014, you appeared as a guest on Fox and Friends, which is America's #1 morning cable show, with hosts Elizabeth Hasselhoff, Steve Ducey, and Eric Bolling. And it's interesting that Elizabeth's on there because she used to be on the other show.
Yeah. They were all so nice. Yeah, it was an awesome experience.
I was going to ask you, I'm sure that they're wonderful folks. I've long watched Steve Ducey and Fox and Friends. I love them. So what was the experience like?
It was just somewhat surreal, you know, to just walk on. And I've done television before, but this was this was my first time national live. And they had told me, okay, we're going to have you sing live as well. And, you know, what I loved about it is not just the host, but the staff were very supportive of what I was doing. You know, it just so happened I had a bunch of the thank you cards that had just been signed by a bunch of kids in my bag. So I said, is it okay if I bring those cards to show you? And they were like, absolutely. And I think that was really what made it personal. You know, I talk about those cards people sign, and it's something where they're looking at a blank piece of paper and they're, you know, going to express their gratitude. So they, you know, the staff and the hosts were just so warm and, you know, open to just share what I was doing as much as possible. And it really helped me because after that, a lot of people were calling in to book me. Instead of me doing I still had to do a lot of work, but it was just a little bit different than taking calls rather than placing calls. It's a little bit of a less pressure. You know? My office has I have the entire wall is filled with I have a card with every state's name on it, and then all the information. And I look like at certain points I'm like, okay, can I go here? If I go here, you know. And I'm from Long Island, so for us, it's not like I have a neighboring state to kind of be like, oh yeah, like people here. It's, you know, where I'm in now in Kansas. It's like, you know, Missouri is right next door. We've got, you know, Minnesota, and it's just funny to me. I was like, man, I could tie some of these states together. That's what I'll do.
I know that when we talked yesterday, I thought, wait a minute, okay, that's not a California accent. And then it dawned on me, yeah, she was raised in Long Island. This is the deal.
Yeah, I like to say that my accent's not as strong, but if I talk to one of my cousins or my brother or something, it all comes right back. It keeps people afraid of me.
No, not in the least. If they see you, there's no way they could ever be afraid. Hey, tell me, does it ever get old singing the same song over and over?
Absolutely not. Maybe other songs, but not this song. It's an honor every time I sing it. And I tell people a lot of times what I do is I'll look for somebody, and it's very obvious when there's somebody in the crowd that's a veteran who really gets it. And I try to focus on them. They don't know it, but, because I'm trying to feel what, they felt. Obviously, I joke, but I mean, if I was in the military, it'd be more like Saving Private Benjamin rather than Saving Private Ryan. I don't think I do very well, but I try to look at what those people who have done such an amazing job and have sacrificed so much, and I pull from that. So no, it doesn't get old. I don't forget the words. I don't forget my spot. I'm not thinking of what I'm doing in 5 minutes. I am 100% focused and passionate about that because it deserves that respect.
Absolutely. Hey, I'd like to play, let's see if John has it queued up or not. I have a clip of you singing the national anthem at the Folds of Honor Patriot Cup Gala in Tulsa, Oklahoma this past May. Do we have that ready to go, John?
It's all set.
It's all set.
John is on the ball.
He is on the ball. He always is. He's Mr. Radio. Let's listen to that.
Oh, say can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Okay, so that was you singing a cappella. And I also want to ask, you have the thank you cards that you bring to events, and it has to do with Operation Gratitude. What is Operation Gratitude?
Operation Gratitude, they're an amazing organization. I had met the woman who started it, and she's just was inspired to send care packages to people who are deployed as well as veterans, and I found out she puts a handwritten thank you card in each of her packages, and she sent their organization to date has sent over 1 million, so they're not messing around. And I said, I'm singing the national anthem in every state. Can I give you cards? Can I collect cards and give them to you for your packages? And she said, go for it. So that's what I've been doing. And what's great is when I say to people, this is going into a care package, and they're like, I don't know what to say. I'm like, you know what? Take a minute. Think about what you'd like to say to somebody, because your note may change their day, may change their life. These cards may be kept forever. They could be the thing that keeps people going. There's a lot of things that our military deals with, PTSD, TBI, all these things that are going on. And they need to know that we love them, that we care about what they've done, and their sacrifice is not in vain. And that's what those cards, I believe, do. And tables that I've had, I've seen people, just even tonight when I was having people sign cards, the parents would go, "Come here, sign this. I want to tell you what this is for. This is for somebody right now who's overseas protecting, our freedoms." And it's incredible. It's really an awesome thing, and I think everybody in this country should fill out a card.
Absolutely.
I'm going everywhere.
Oh, man. Janine, I'm excited because I actually get to meet you in SoCal at the end of the month at Tribblefest. Mm-hmm. And you may surprise the attendees by singing at one of our events and bring cards because we will all sign them. I'm telling you.
That would be awesome. Yes, that will be great.
So thanks for what you're doing. You're a new friend, and we will absolutely stay in touch. And safe travels, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me on the show as well. It's a great thing that you're doing. Thank you.
Oh, thanks. It's my privilege. Tomorrow night, don't miss the Hump Day News Report. Jeff Dunitz and I will interview James Lilacs. And, of course, I'll be back next Tuesday night. So until then, I'm just one conservative gal encouraging you to keep fighting the good fight.